Well, good morning. It's Don Erie again with a couple of main stories for you. I had to talk kind of quiet because my wife fell asleep on the couch last night, and she's asleep over there in the other room. She hadn't been feeling too good lately, and she went to the doctor yesterday and gave her some medication. And I think she's going to be okay. She didn't have the flu or nothing, but I think the medication that they gave her caused her to be kind of sleepy. And I'm getting a late start this morning because well, frankly, kind of sleeping myself. It's one of them mind over mattress kind of effects. But anyway, I thought I'd share with you what I'd call death-defying acts that my father got into when he was a kid. These are a few things that he told me about, and I hope you enjoy them, because the lifestyle that he lived, he told me that he lived when he was a child, that his mother, my Nana, Alice Airy, I guess during the summertime, she just told him, boys, he says, the four of them, there's David, Lester, and David, Lester, Charles, and my father, Don, Sr. She said, out to go. And she didn't know what they did, where they went, or any kind of the things that they got to do. And until she just insisted that they was home for supper. And they got into all manner of things, So one of the things he told me that he did, he'd go down to the dockman, and he'd say, hey, he says, I got a good trick for you. He'd go up to one of the men that they're down there having their lunch, And they said, yeah, Sonny, what kind of a trick you got for me? He says, well, give me $1 here and I'll show you. And they'd oblige, he'd give him $1, and he'd hold it behind his back, and he'd say, now, what was it you gave me? And he said, well, I gave you $1. And he said, thanks, and he'd run pell-mell away, and the guys would be cussing at him, and everything, but it's just, my father was a stealing little runt, he got away with it, but I don't know how we lived through those kind of things, Another thing he did, he told me, and you're not going to believe this. Well, maybe you will. But one winter, he and David got the wild idea, my Uncle David, got the wild idea that they would break off a piece of ice, an ice cake, big enough for them to walk on. And they got themselves a couple of barrel staves or something that they used, boards that they used for paddles. And believe it or not, they paddled themselves on that cake of ice all around Casco Bay. Now, can you imagine how dangerous that was? This is the dead of winter. It's cold enough to freeze sea ice. And you imagine how unstable a cake of ice is. If they'd have slipped off of that, even if they'd managed to get back on, they'd be totally wet. They'd only lasted 2 or 3 minutes before hypothermia set in, and they'd have died. And I'm sure it was only the grace of God that they survived that. I'm sure that God wanted more for my father. Evidently, he called him to be a preacher, and that's the reason he lived through it. But he said he had just had a ball paddling all around Casco Bay Harbor on a cake of ice. And I would definitely call that a death-defying act. Now, this last one, you may believe or not believe, but it's the truth. That they used to watch these old black and white movies, like James Cagney, and all the gangster movies, and they're just kind of fascinated by, someone getting the electric chair, and they built themselves an electric chair in their basement. They had the whole thing rigged up. They had a metal thing for you to put your bare feet on. They had the straps, metal straps around your hands. They had the little metal cap around your head, and everything. And they said, well, who's going to try it first, Of course, my father says, I'll go for it. I'll try it, It's in the category of, what were you thinking? Well, you weren't thinking. That's the whole thing. So we got in there, gets himself all ready. And they switched on the power. praise the Lord, they blew a fuse. And that's the story of 3 of the death-defying acts that my father lived through as a child. And I think he told me those stories as cautionary tales. He says, now, Buster, don't you dare ever do anything like that yourself. You know? And you know why I never did? I was kind of a cautious child. I played hard when I was a boy, but I never did anything like that. And don't you either. Okay. God bless you. Have a wonderful day today.